Hello, and welcome back to the conversion of Granny Grumman. In this episode, I'll be painting the engine block as well as many of the accessories that bolt onto it. One of the most critical points of painting anything is making sure you have a clean surface free of any rust, dirt, grime, oil, etc. I'm starting off with a steel wire wheel attached to an old Milwaukee drill and then chasing it with a little generic brake cleaner. But before I do that, I'll have to remove this bolt that was left here by the last person to remove the engine. It's one of 3 bolts located on the engine block that retain the passenger side engine mount. Right here you're going to see me use some forward bits as well as reverse bits to try and take out the bolt. This process took a little over an hour, so I stopped filming, but eventually I got some of the threads out by a forward bit getting stuck in them and then backing it out, as well as using a punch to knock some of the remaining threads off of the block. And so begins the tedious task of cleaning every last square inch of this engine. The timing cover was in particularly bad condition. Bear in mind that some of these videos were sped up to 75 times faster than real life, and all the cleaning and prep, including taping off the engine, took over 7 hours. Now that the engine's been thoroughly wire brushed and degreased, we're going to use some paint thinner to remove anything else that remains. Totally missed one and didn't even notice. Right here you're going to see me remove the new spark plugs that I replaced when I first got Granny Grumman with the original ones that it came with. That way I can spray paint over them, remove them, and put the new plugs in with a nice clean paint line. The paint I'm using is Duplicolor engine enamel. The instructions say that each coat of paint must be applied within 10 minutes of each other, but the first coat and the last coat can be no longer than an hour apart from each other. Both the primer and the Detroit Diesel Alpine Green color were put down within a 40-minute window. The engine block alone took 2 cans of primer and 2 cans of color. Duplicolor engine enamel cures with heat, so I'm using my heat gun to emulate a running engine. The upper left hand is after the heat gun cure, and the upper right is before. And after 2 days of hard work, the engine went from this to this. Oh my gosh, it's gonna look so freaking good. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Adds like 12 horsepower. Here you're gonna see me separate the intake manifold from the exhaust manifold. They're linked on these old 292s. The next thing to come off is the carburetor. And after curing it off camera, this is the intake after paint. I'm using VHT exhaust paint for the exhaust manifold, the fan, and the pulley that connects to the water pump. The instructions are nearly identical to the Duplicolor, and again, I'm doing a primer base and then following with a color. And for these parts, I chose flat black. The next things to paint are the engine mounts, the lower alternator bracket, and the lower thermostat housing. Now that everything's been painted and cured, I'm going to leave it to air dry for a couple weeks while I wait for more parts to come in and I get prepped to put everything back together. This whole process took 3 entire days, but I couldn't be happier with how everything turned out. It's very rewarding to finally see things going back together instead of constantly taking things apart. Thanks to everyone for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok for live play-by-play updates of what's going on with Granny Grumman. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.